Hey guys, what's going on? It's Clever Techie, and in this video we're going to cover PHP arrays in more detail. Now here's a quick overview of PHP arrays in PHP. We define a numeric array using the keyword array, and then inside the round brackets we have our values, and the numeric keys are automatically created for us when we define a numeric array. And then if we wanted to create an associative array, we use the same keyword array, and then inside the round brackets we specify what the key names are in the single or double quotes, and then we use a rocket and follow that by the value. Okay, so let's go ahead and start coding. So here's what we're going to be creating. We're going to be reading these files and images inside a numeric array in PHP. And then we will create a associative array out of it, and then finally we're gonna create a HTML table out of the associative array that's gonna look something like this. So it's a pretty nice looking HTML table, and we're gonna accomplish that with PHP arrays. Alright, let's start coding. So first of all, I'm gonna put up the PHP tags here. Okay, so my directory of the movies where those files are located is inside the movies folder. So I'm going to specify that directory with a dir variable, and I'm going to use a function called scandir, which is going to this function scandir, and it's going to read the directory and it's going to put all the files in the array. So here's what it's gonna look like. If we print out the files array, and close that, and I'm also gonna use the function called pre-r that I've defined earlier in another video, so we can print out those pesky pre-tags automatically. Okay, so once we use the scandir function, here's what the array is gonna look like. As you can see, it has read all the file names into an array, and it created a numeric array out of it. Now let's go ahead and remove those dots in the first two keys of the array. And for that we can use a function called array diff. So we're gonna say files, which is our array, and then diff, and I'm gonna specify the array, which is our existing array, and then for the second one I'm gonna specify another array and the values. So what the array underscore diff function does is it compares the two arrays together. It compares the first array, which is files, and the second one that I've just created here, and it returns an array which is going to have all the values but the ones that are specified in the second array. So as you can see, I've printed it here, and it's the dots are no longer there. Okay, so as you can see, also it has it's not starting from key 0 and 1 instead of starting from key 2. And before we start looping through this array, I want to reset the keys, and for that there's another function called, I'm gonna say files equals array values, and then files. So that will reset the count back to 0. That's what that function is for. As you can see, it's starting from 0 now. And now we're ready to work with this numeric array. So I'm just gonna comment out all these printing functions, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create another array called movies, and we're just gonna loop through this numeric array called files with all those file names, and we're gonna put it all inside this movies array, and we're gonna create an associative array out of it, and it'll be a lot easier to work with once we start creating our HTML table. So let's go ahead and create a loop, a for loop, and just say count files. And what the count function does is just counts the files array and returns how many elements are inside the array, so that we can know when to end the loop once the end of the array has been reached. Next, we're just gonna say I++, and then I'm gonna do some regular expressions here using the pragmatch function. And don't worry if you don't understand this regular expression. What I'm gonna do here is just match the file names, and then I'm also gonna match the year name inside the file names, and I'm gonna store these as separate values inside the associative array. I'm also gonna match the whole image name and store that separately as well. So here's what the regular expression looks like, and again, don't be scared if you don't understand what's going on here. I'm just I'll create another video where I'll be explaining what's going on here. So this is gonna match the name of the movie, and it's gonna match the year of the movie, and then I'm gonna specify which since we're looping through the array, I'm gonna specify files and then the I, which is gonna be the count of the numeric key, and then I'm going to store everything in the results array. So the pragmatch function takes in 3 arguments: the regular expression, the value of the array, and then finally it's gonna store everything inside the results array. So if I'm gonna print out the results array, this is what it's gonna look like right now. Actually, let's use the pre-r. Okay, so it stored the whole thing in 0, and then it stored Braveheart, which is the movie name, in key 1, and it stored the year in key 2. So that's how the pragmatch works. And again, don't worry if you don't get what's going on right now. Next, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the movie name a little bit. So instead of, I'm going to use a str replace function to replace the underscores in the movie names with spaces. And I'm going to provide the results1, which is the movie name. And also, I'm going to capitalize every letter of the movie using the UCWords function. And let's see what the movie name looks like now. Just the first one for now. Braveheart, so which is exactly what we want. Okay, so I'm actually gonna use the movie name as an associative key now. So in order to do that, I'm gonna type movies array, and I'm gonna place this variable inside the in place of the key name. And then I'm gonna say image equals files I, which is the image name, and also movies. I'm gonna create another one, and this time place the variable here, and for the year I'm gonna say results2, which is where the year is stored, and I'm gonna print out the whole thing to see what happens. Okay, so this is exactly what I wanted. So the name of the movie is being used as a key inside this associative array, and then the second array, second dimension inside the array is created with image name and year. And now we're pretty much ready to work with this array. Let's go ahead and test to see how the whole thing looks like now by printing out the movies array outside the loop. And as you can see, all of these all the movie names are created in place of the key name, and the image and year are also stored inside the associative key image and year for every single movie. So now we're ready to work with this associative array and create a table out of this. Okay, so I already have some CSS created in order to make the table look nice, so I'm just gonna paste it here, and you guys can either pause the video and just type the whole this CSS yourself, or you can download the file with this code inside the description of this video. So here's the CSS I'm gonna be using. Okay, finally I'm gonna use for each loop to loop through the movies array. But before we do that, let's go ahead and print the actual table to the screen, because the table is going to be living outside of our for each loop, because we don't want to be printing table more than once. Okay, so I'm just gonna print this table, and the first table row is also gonna be outside. Gonna create a class for it. Okay, so this is gonna be our table and table row. I'm also gonna end the table tags. Echo tr table, and then inside, between these tags, we're ready to loop through our associative array. So I'm gonna say for each movies, which is our array, as movie name, which is the variable is gonna hold the movie name, and movie name is the key in this case, and then the rocket and info, which is gonna contain the image and the year values. Okay, so now we're gonna print table cells. So I'm gonna store everything inside the content variable, and for the table cell, it's td. I'm gonna say class span class equals name, just to format name a little bit nicely, and then I'm gonna say movie name. Remember that we can print the variables inside the double quotes, and then span and the tag, and then use the br tag, and then I'm just gonna press enter. Wait, just creating another. Okay, concatenate that, and then I'm gonna say image source equals movies info image, and then close that, br, and then concatenate that again. Close this first, and then span class equals year. And I'm just going to explain what's going on here in just a little bit. Just let me type this thing first, and then info year, and the span tag, and the table cell. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, so for the movie name, I'm just using movie name. I just want to print it out as it is, and I'm placing it inside the span HTML tag because we wanted to format it nicely. Next, for the info image, where our image file name is located, I'm using the image src tag to actually print out the image to the browser, and this is a perfectly legal way of doing so, because info image holds our JPG path, and you can actually print out the associative array between double quotes without enclosing the image in single or double quotes, just like that, which is very convenient. You don't have to concatenate that or use any kind of curly brackets. And then for the year, I'm doing this pretty much the same thing I've done for the movie name, and placing it inside its own span tag, and hopefully all of this is going to be nicely formatted. So now I'm just going to echo out content to the screen, save the file, and voila, all the movies along with their names and year numbers have been basically an HTML table, nicely formatted HTML table has been created out of this. And this is the CSS for it. And that's it for this PHP arrays video. If you guys found it useful, please share, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Clever Techie out.